Welcome to the show, Lyn-Dee. It's great to have you on HowLeader with us.
I feel very blessed and honored to be on with both of you gentlemen today. What an amazing way to end a Monday with you guys.
Yes, absolutely. We're going to get our horsepower going for the week. And I have to capture too, right out of the gate, this amazing story. I'm going to let Richard tell it about when he came to be on your show, and then you two spent a day going around together. Richard, could you tell us about that? Because your insight on it is amazing.
As you know, Lyn-Dee Eldridge is the chief executive officer of the Happiness Jumble.
Chief Happiness Officer.
Oh, I'm sorry, Chief Happiness Officer.
You're the Chief Visionary Officer.
I'm the Chief Visionary. Now, as such, she has a wonderful personality that just lights up everyone wherever she goes. And so we had just met, and she was kind enough to say to me, Richard, come with me. And we got in the car. We drove all over Manchester, New Hampshire, spreading happiness, just stopping into Dunkin' Donuts, going out to lunch, right? Greeting people on the street. And I learned a very profound lesson. I think it really cemented in my mind that each and every one of us has an enormous ability to create happiness right between our ears. And when we go out and share that happiness, we can lighten up the world. And the best part of it is it's accessible to anybody and it's free of charge. All we have to do is create the mindset of happiness. And so I will remember that day for the rest of my life, Lyn-Dee.
And Richard, what did I do as we were in the car driving to my windows when we were at a red light? Do you remember? Do you remember the ink stamps of the happy face on the windows?
Yes, I do.
Your smiley face?
Yes, I do. In fact, that's an important point. All we have to do to feel happier and to spread happiness is smile more. It's as simple as that, right? But in order to maintain that state of mind, a happiness state of mind, it's very important to redirect the neural connections in our brain. And the easiest way to do that is just through habit. Just make a decision that I am going to be happy and I am going to spread my joy to the world. And that's the biggest gift that my friendship with Lyn-Dee Eldridge was ever given to me. And I am indebted to her for that. As simple as that may sound, it's changed my life because I mimic her. Hello, right? People respond to a sincere, authentic smile, right?
Yes, and I was gonna, excellent point. Thank you, Richard. And capturing that day is so important because from your view, it was just amazing, and you shared it with passion. And Richard and I were thinking up, questions and focus, and so I wanted to, I'm so happy about the work you're doing, and I wanted to ask you, Lyn-Dee, too. There's a lot of lives you're impacting through this. There's a lot of results around it. And it's something very different than what other people are doing. It's a huge commitment for you, as so evident in what Richard shared and being, in the front row seat to experience it. Tell me about what brought you here. What made this decision for you to spread happiness and be on this path?
Evan, my life has been really hard, and Richard definitely saw me go through my later tornado. However, when I was growing up, I was brought up in a very toxic home. I was one of 3 children, and I was not wanted. I came at the worst time, and they let me know it throughout my life. And it was very hard. And there was never positive words spoken about me, to me, for me in my home. So much so that, they beat me like unconditionally, but there was something inside of me. And let me just share with you, I want my listeners to understand that I understand depression and I understand suicide, because at the age of 9, I didn't understand why was I there. I was being kicked around so much verbally, you know, mentally, physically, sexually. I was just like, I was a pawn. And I remember at the age of 9 years old going to the backyard, which in Queens, Belrose, we called it the little back and the big back. And I went to the big back and I heard cigarettes kill you. Now I wasn't smoking yet, but I figured cigarettes kill you. So I stole a pack of cigarettes from my mother. She used to smoke 100s. And I figured if I ate the pack, I would die. And I went to the big back and I opened up the cigarettes and I sat there and I ate 20 cigarettes.
No.
I didn't die. I got sick. And I realized at that divine moment, when I went home, no one cared. But when I was outside, people liked me. They liked playing with me. They liked talking with me. They said I had good advice. And I was kind of tuning into that. But it was a rough, toxic environment until I was the age of 18. And I thought I found Mr. Prince Charming and I got married. I got out.
Thank you for the heartfelt, Lyn-Dee, excuse me. Thank you for the heartfelt opening of truth, because one of the examples is that we can come from very tragic, difficult times, traumatic times, and still make a choice, although we have to do the work to get through things and to heal ourselves. You know, it's probably amazing for listeners and people today to realize, wow, this elegant, beaming, joyful woman started, with so much toxicity and difficulty around her. And it's interesting, healthy people or normal people outside that environment did see the light shine within you and started to say, wait, I want you over here and you're great. And so sometimes our family of origin doesn't have any of that. And what a test, I would say. And tell me a little bit about, where did the choice begin to happen where you insisted on happiness in your life to the point where you were going to become Chief Happiness Officer?
So let me just go right back to the childhood for a second. No matter how much we're beat up, who are you inside? Who do you look at yourself as? How come they don't see that in me? How many times have you asked yourself, how can they treat me like this? I'm worthy of better. Now, you may not use worthy of better, but what's your choice of words? See, that's who you are. And you're passionate about living your full life. I grabbed on to that. Now, not everybody liked me, guys. I was bullied. I may have even bullied, because when people are hurting, they look for a weaker link and they hurt. So I think that we've all been bullies in our lives. We just don't want to admit it. But the fact of the matter is, we have been. But how did it make you feel? Miserable.
Yes.
I remember that. I remember.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that feels disgusting. And then I just started smiling and outside my home, behind my closed doors. My first book that I wrote in 2009 is called Tears of Fears Behind Closed Doors. Everybody, we don't know what you're going through. Only you do. And we all wear a disguise outside. But I want you during this time with Evan and Richard and myself just to stop and really think. When somebody's treating you poorly and you ask the question, I don't deserve this. Why? I want you to appreciate the person you're protecting. Does that make sense? When you take ownership of that vulnerable person, a lot of what that's telling you is that you deserve more, you could have more, and there's a way to just keep living your purpose with using your past as fuel.
Yes.
I always loved helping people. I always loved making them laugh. If you talk to anybody back in the day, they'll tell you she was funny. You know, she was a badass because she had to always protect herself. She was a tomboy, but we didn't know what was going on behind her closed doors, is what they'll tell you. And ask them how many times they came and visited me at my bedroom window. Yes. I was grounded more than I was allowed out because I got blamed for everything and everybody. So I use that. And you know what the purpose is? The purpose is that I speak to children. I go to schools and I share, because there's too high of a suicide rate without kids today, and the hate and the violence. You see, when you come from where I came from, the School of Hard Knocks, New York state of mind, and you go to these kids, not about technology, not about, only about the inner core of their feelings and their emotions, because that's one thing, everybody, yes, that has not changed. We all have feelings. We have emotions. And our children need to understand that they're heard, they're seen, and that we believe in them, and allow them yes, to live their full purpose of who they say they want to be. I want to be an actress. Applaud them and let them do their thing in front of you. I want to be a carpenter. Yes. Applaud them and go get them Lincoln logs. Support their
yes.
School, and I don't mean any disrespect to school or colleges or anything, but in my case, being torn down and beat down, my school, my universities, my college, my teachers was Les Brown, Zig Ziglar. I became yes, good in personal development, Jim Rohn. These were literally my teachers. I was their student, so you got all of them in me, but you have mostly Les Brown. So
yes,
I shared all that with everybody, because who you are, you already know, and you have such greatness within you, like Les Brown says. You know, fear should be your fuel. So when I get to go speak to children on the stages of even preschool all the way up to the universities, because I talk about business, why? Because as I was living the School of Hard Knocks, I became very diversified. And if there was something out there that said, we'll train, no experience necessary, I raised my hand because I was curious. And I became, without any yes, schooling, a dental technician, laboratory worker who was making your false teeth.
Wow.
How did we,
yes,
or how do we live the life when we figure out who we are and what was the purpose and use it as the fuel? So.
Lyn-Dee, let me ask you this. Evan and I are fascinated by success. We've studied success, and there's so many stories of people who have really attained some remarkable achievement in life. And they have had challenges and suffering and failure and hurt. You shared your background of how you were not wanted and how difficult it was for you. Yet we know, and you'll tell us later in this interview, that you attained a considerable degree of success. That at one point in your life, you were a millionaire, coming from a background that was really would tie the hand behind the back of most people. And I also know how Les Brown was very important to you. And it reminds me of his famous saying, if you can look up, you can get up. Would you talk about how you looked up and how you got up?
So in 1986 is when I heard Mr. Les Brown on the television. Now, I didn't even know his name. I didn't know his voice. I was not into personal development then. But when the student is ready, the teachers appear. And all of a sudden on the television was Mr. Les Brown as I'm holding my 15-month-old baby girl who just had all of her shots. and there was no way that she was going to allow me to put her down. So just very quickly, let me give you the setting. There was no dinner ready. I always had dinner ready.
Yes.
Not that night. We were going to order pizza. I sat down with the baby on the couch and I turned on channel 2. That's right, channel 2. We didn't have a lot of channels back then. And it was PBS. And Les Brown came on and he was talking and sharing, and all of a sudden he said, "You have greatness within you. Don't you allow and give people permission to change who you are."
Oh.
That second, my former husband walked in, and of course he noticed there was no smell of dinner, and he reacted as he normally did, very verbally abusive. And for the first time, I didn't hear him. I didn't hear him. All I heard was wah, 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 right? And I share that with everybody because when the student is ready, the teachers appear. When you're done, you're done. Just like smoking, just like any other bad habit. When you know what a marriage is that's gone wrong and that's abusive?
Yes.
Right? It's an addiction. Well, you need to break the addiction. You have to realize that you're strong enough. Well, as I'm holding my baby, we have choices to make. This was my divine moment. This was the life-changing moment. That no more is anybody going to harm me. And I looked down at my baby girl and I said, I may be voluntarily staying because of fear.
Yes.
But you, my little baby girl, do not and have not asked to be in this environment. We're out. Les Brown, baby girl. I looked up and I said, we're getting a divorce. And that was the divine moment of my life changing. You don't think I was scared? Of course I was scared.
Sure.
But you know what? When you understand investing in yourself and going to that where you're being inspired, and you hear that these mentors are doing things that are called seminars,
yes,
conventions, retreats. What is this language, I ask you?
yes.
And that's when I started diving hard and deep into me. Les Brown investing the seminar, $3,000. Somehow or another, we're going to invest in something in ourselves. You're going to go in debt for something for yourself. If I'm going into debt, let it be for a good reason so I could replenish, refertilize, and repay.
Yes. Yes.
So that was my attitude. That was the divine moment when things started changing. Now, after I got a divorce, I became very diversified, just like I shared with you, becoming a dental technician. I didn't know what I wanted to be. I did have my cosmetologist license. I did own a hair salon later on in life. I did own a pet store. I became very successful in multi-level marketing with one company for over 21 years. It's Legal Shield. I am one of their 6-figure ring earner women. Success becomes your success when you become a student of the path that you want to be on. So no matter where I was, when it was corporate America that I was working for as a credit manager, I learned because they said, no experience necessary, we'll train. And I have to share with you, some of you are very afraid of looking for that and getting out of where you are. You don't even like what you're doing.
Yes.
You can change it, especially now with the changes. So, I lost my track. Put me back.
You were mentioning that anybody could really change and look at where they're at.
Thank you. So give yourself permission to answer those ads, because me as an employer, I would love to mold somebody and not have to break any bad habits. That just makes sense to me. You're willing to learn. You have the energy that I'm looking for. You have that smile and that glow, and you're hungry, like Les Brown says. You got to be hungry. You're hungry. come here.
Yes.
Come on
Yes.
over. Cuddle me, love. Come on over.
That's great.
So that's what you want to look for what it is that you want to do. If you want to be a doctor, if you want to be a veterinarian, then go to the veterinarian hospitals and the offices and say, how can I be a part of this team? And that's how you start learning. And then you start meeting and like-minded people, and you realize that, you know, your verbiage is changing, but the people that you are with or hang out with, they're like doom and gloom sometimes, negative, and you're like, it hurts your ears. It gets to the point where it hurts your ears, and you're like, you know what, I gotta love you from afar. Because over there I'm laughing. I'm laughing with Les Brown, I'm laughing with Jim Rohn, I'm laughing with Zig Ziglar. I'm meeting all these other people that are laughing and that are growing and learning how to be living in their life. And then I come home and I'm like, whoa. So you got to make changes. You got to make choices. You got to fight fear. You got to look at fear in the eyes and say, come on, not now. Because I'm being mentored and surrounded by most of the best that have already had to live through it all.
Lyn-Dee, did the fear ever go away?
Never
or
does.
were you able to act in the face of the fear?
Fear never goes away. Fear never goes away. It is the devil that is always trying to come back in front of you. And all we have to learn how to do is pause, look at it as if you were watching a movie silently, and really look at it. Change your choices.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Okay, great. And it sounds though too, from a principal standpoint, you've made a lot of decisions in spite of fear towards action. You said, like when you talked about no experience necessary, I'm going to chase this hill, I'm going to learn this, I'm going to start this business. And what are the successes you're most proud of? One is, it sounds like Richard mentioned you had $1 million, were worth $1 million at one point, and came from no training, and you made your mind up to become a millionaire, and you did it.
Well, let me share with you, okay? I got remarried. It was in 2007 to my second husband. I was divorced for 20 years. But during that 20 years, that's when I became who I am. I became an entrepreneur, a speaker, an inspirer, a mom, you know, everything. And then I met my former husband. And when I met my former husband, he started a business with another gentleman, and it was an internet marketing company where you sold your timeshares. And then they had it where the buyers could also, the sellers could also buy. You know what I mean? It was back when Google was first becoming Google, and the SEO work. So they got in at the right time with the right product, with a need in the marketplace all over the world, and they monopolized the market.
Yes.
So I was there as his spouse, and when they needed me, I was there to help them. We went through $1 million embezzlement. We wanted to make sure that all of their clients did not lose their money that was in escrow. You should have seen what we had to do. Let me tell you what, nothing is easy. Everybody thinks it's so simple behind the scenes. It is not. It is not. I slept on a desk for 5 nights. And I don't remember what Mark and I were eating, but we were not leaving the office at all until we could make sure that every customer was protected and didn't lose. That was very important. And then there was a buyout. The company was my former husband's and his partners. I was there as needed. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
At the same
it sounds
time,
like
at the same time, my multi-level marketing business was also just phenomenally doing very, very well. We were growing especially in New England. So, but you know what I want to share with everybody? Money doesn't make you happy. let's get life right here. Money doesn't make you happy. Chasing money is miserable. Now, I know that to be true.
Yes.
I've been poorer than poor, eating crackers so my baby girl could eat chicken. I'm so well grounded, I can't stand it, right? Because I have to always make sure that I stay grounded. No matter how successful you are or how successful you want to be, the most important thing is to be authentically, transparently who you are. So,
and it sounds like you've been tested a lot, that, you've had a lot of tests but now you've chosen the inner energy, or as Richard talks about, kind of winning the inner game before we go back out into the world. Do you feel like it's easier now to create relationships and success and alleviate fear?
Sure, because you learn along the way. You learn from your mistakes. Yes, I cry. Of course I cry. You see, there's another difference. I've been training myself for 36 years. And you're never too old to start either. I don't want to hear people say, oh, well, I'm so-and-so and I can't change. Like heck, you can't. You could change if you want to change. And if you say you can, you can. And if you say you can't, you're right, you can't. So either way, you're right. But I've always chosen that I want to keep on changing. And what I mean by that is, so I am a New Yorker. I lived in South Florida. I lived in New Hampshire, and now I'm in South Carolina. That's a lot of different personalities of interaction of how do I fit in. So you have to learn how to be able to step in to a new area.
How do you change? Like, are there ways that you either look into yourself, or do you practice certain things, whether it's meditation, or how do you change yourself even when you've been tested, or when things are going great? How do you continue to change?
Yeah, so Richard knows I don't meditate very well. Right, Richard? Yeah, I don't meditate very well. But I meditate in a different way. I like going for walks in the woods, in the mountains.
Yeah.
I like that. That's my way out. That's my space. When I learn how to pause and I don't react, and that I respond to it. So it's learned. You're not taught this, and you got to ask yourself something. How old are you? Everybody that's listening, how old are you? And if you say you're 60, well, it took me 60 years to get this way. I don't think overnight I'm going to be able to fix it all. But the slight philosophy, a little bit, every day, changes. And in 30 days, you see it. You could feel it. In 60 days, it's just a smile just appears on your face because you've trained yourself that it feels better. Oh God, it feels so good smiling at people. And you know what? You could save a life. We go into stores all the time. People look miserable, and there's a lot of us that take it as, well, what jerks or what da-da-da-da. We don't know what's going on behind their closed doors. So I look at the people and I'm like, I don't believe you're this way, and I just want to share a smile. I hope that, and I give the red heart. I give a red heart out. I've been doing it for 45 years. I kept saying 40 years, and then someone says, you've been saying that for a long time. I'm like, oh yeah, I guess 45 years.
That's wonderful.
But that heart that I give out all over the world, what that symbolizes is no matter what's going on in the world, and man, there is horrific things going on. When you hold this heart and you see it again, just know that at the end, everything's going to be okay. And hold on, right? And people feel warmer inside. So that's what I do. These are things I do. What do you want to do? What legacy are you leaving behind?
Well, you said two very important points, and one being, that in any moment, you can change things. You can change the room. You can change a bad day by giving love, by giving happiness. And so many people come home and say, oh, this was an awful day. I'm a victim. Everybody did this. And sure enough, they may have had an awful day. And some people have terrible days and difficult times. But I think the essence is that you have chosen happiness, and you continue to choose that in the moment. And that's just, from where I sit, it's such a powerful thing, having started from really a source, Lyn-Dee, of no validation, right? There was no mirroring in those early childhood years saying, and I look at you, and I know, Richard, are you in agreement? I know you're close with Lyn-Dee, but I see like joy and love and beauty, and she just shines. And I'm like, oh, I want to be around her. I want to be near her. And there's a lot of people that aren't so fortunate to make the choice. And what kind of things, if you had this, it sounds, the other point is that people can change at any time, is what you're saying. They can start these practices at 20, they can start them at 40, they can start them at 80. And what advice would you give for people to insist on, to begin to cultivate this mindset, but not just a mindset, Lyn-Dee, there's a heart that you bring to things. And I'm sure there's reward when you give away a heart and you smile, but how would someone start in the simplest of ways if they were to do 3 things a day and they're in their 20s?
Most people are afraid to do things alone. Self-love.
Yes.
They won't go out to dinner,
yes,
lunch, breakfast alone. They won't do it. Some people, they won't go to the movies alone. They won't go for a walk alone.
Yeah.
So I remember, this is how it began. When I got divorced in 1986, number one, I knew that I didn't want to be with anybody. I needed to learn about me. So that's that's also a clue for everybody. You know, if you're just getting out of a relationship, don't be so quick to jump into a relationship. If you don't like what you left, you haven't broken the pattern, you're probably going to find the same thing that you just left, only in a different shell. So learn about you.
Tell me about the mentor, and how did they receive and love you in a way that allowed you to manifest even more within yourself?
Okay, so I have a lot of mentors. I have a main mentor, and that is Mr. Les Brown. So 1986, Mr. Les Brown changed my life. I heard his voice. I became a student. I attended his seminars. I became Les.
Yes.
Everything. So, and I always said, one day, that man is going to know how much I appreciate him, and he's going to know my name. And I'm going to do something with him.
Yes.
And I believed it. I totally 100% believed it. And during my journey, of course, I kept on attending, the Les Brown events and everything. So you want me to take you fast forward to 2017? When things changed?
Yes. Like, and how did that person or the mentor reach in and either touch your heart or make a safe place for you to walk towards, in the way that Richard does for me often, or, those very sacred people that you can open your heart?
Well, because you feel it in your gut. Your gut never lies to you. Your gut is like a dog. It knows danger. It knows good. When a stranger walks in my home, if he or she is not a good person, that dog stands up. What does your gut tell you? You could feel when you're around danger, right? Your gut.
Yes.
It's all about your gut. People are good. They make you feel whoopee. I'm known as whoopee. So they make you feel comfortable and secure. That's who you want to hang out with. So with Les Brown, in 2017, my second former husband and I, we were having many challenges. And we were separated, but yet neither one of us wanted to get a divorce. Things were going on in our lives. And I want to share with you, I want to take you back to 2016, when my marriage was really crazy. We were a combined family, and the children at that time ranged from 18, and my daughter was in her 30s already, and I have 4 beautiful granddaughters. Okay.
Yeah.
But we're going through a very rough patch. And for whatever reason, I was warned that I needed to go create another income. Now, I'm not afraid of starting over. I'm not afraid of starting over. I'm not afraid if I got to go. I got a peddler's license.
Yeah.
My daughter was embarrassed. In 2016, when that warning hit me, I went down to Manchester, New Hampshire's courthouse, and I applied for a peddler's license because I met somebody in Costco that was buying bagels and muffins and little cartons of milk and juices and all this individually packed stuff, little things of cream cheeses. And I'm like, what do you do? And he said to me, well, I'm a vendor and I go from office to office and I bring them breakfast every morning and they can't wait to see me. I charge $1 per item and it's cash only.
Ah. Wow. That's great.
Chutzpah.
Yes.
Chutzpah.
Yes.
No ego, no pride. I make a really good living. And he was clean looking, you know, and I was like,
yes,
oh.
Yes.
So when there was a warning given to me like that, I remembered that. And I'm like, why can't I just get a cooler that pushes with bagels and all that stuff? And I'll go and find office buildings not affecting his territory. And I'll do the same thing. So I said to my daughter, you're going to do it with me because you're a survivor. See, I taught my daughter, you're a survivor. These are the things that we do to protect ourselves. We go down to the courthouse and the lady says, can I help you? Yes, you can. I'm looking for a peddler's license. Oh, my daughter's like this, right? I forgot how old she was, but she was, you know, and the lady looked and says, what is the peddler's license for? And I said, I'm going to sell bagels. And I told her what I was going to do. She looked, she goes, oh, she says, good for you. And I says, we got to be strong. We got to make sure that we're making a living, right? And the lady says, yes, this is so inspiring. My daughter's like, I'm so embarrassed. And the lady gave my daughter such a speech. Are you crazy? You should be proud of your mother. She's teaching you survival 101. You're getting a peddler's license too.
Yes, that's great.
We got a peddler's license. Now, we never had to do that, but I would have. Because why not?
Yes.
That's respectful. That is very respectful as far as I'm concerned, right? So what? There are pockets of things that we're going to have to do to keep ourselves afloat. But in 2016, when a warning came about that, I went to my favorite stream and then I figured out, what is it that I'm supposed to be doing? Well, I've already been speaking. I'm already an author. I've already been a successful entrepreneur. I've already been successful in the School of Hard Knocks, graduated the first 1% in my class. I looked up at God in the universe and I said, what am I going to do? And they said, so help me God. You know the movie The Secret? I felt it.
Yes.
You all think that we feel it, but we don't feel it until we felt it. And that's when I felt it. And it was like this thing that just lifted me and said, you're a happiness angel. My God, go spread your wings. And I did. Keep on working on myself. I had to keep on listening to Les Brown because I traveled a lot in my car. And I had all my motivational CDs in my car. And when I travel, I don't listen to anything but motivational, right? So I'm always pouring into me. How could you not change? Because I'll tell you what, whatever you're listening to, that's who you are. That's who you are. You're just mimicking it, right? If you listen to Howie Stern all day, you're such a Howard Stern. And I admire the man and I respect him. I may not be one of, the best people for his audience, but think about that. You are who you listen to and who you hang out with, first 5 people. So,
yes. And go ahead.
So in 2017, things were still bad with my former husband and I. Now, I created the Happiness Jungle entity in 2016 when I was warned. And I decided to go down to South Florida to visit my mom. And because I lived in South Florida for 33 years, I might as well introduce everybody to my new entity and just introduce and just say hi, right? Little did I know I was going to be a caretaker of my mom. And I paused my life for a year and I took care of mom. I canceled over 21 speaking engagements, but there was one speaking engagement in New Hampshire that I didn't want to cancel. It was for families in transition. My health insurance is in New Hampshire. I might as well go and have my checkup because I'm coming right back to Florida. And that's what happened. And only to come to find out that I had the breast cancer. Okay, I looked up at God in the universe. I'm like, what is the purpose? Not why is this happening to me? Because I've already been working on myself. So what's the purpose of this? And so I wrote a book. It's called Squeeze My Tatas. You're only one mammogram away from you. And it's an inspiring book to show you that you don't have to stay in the doom and gloom victim mentality mindset. Okay? You have to be a victory for this, because it's not, don't ever say, you know, I have cancer. Say, I have the cancer. Don't own it, because we're going to get rid of that, right? So, 3 weeks into radiation, I got a divorce because he couldn't be there with me. No matter how much we said we didn't want a divorce, and there was no one else involved in our relationships. It was apparent that he just checked out on me and that I had to make a choice and a decision. So my choice was to get a divorce and to forgive him for his weaknesses. Out of tragedy comes treasures if you just allow it and allow yourself to grieve and do it all. But how long are you going to stay there in the grieving? Your life's not going to stop. Your bills aren't going to stop because you decide that you're going to be in the woe is me grieving. You know, cry, take your time, but then wake up. So with that being said, I was lonely at night. I was scared. I wanted to be loved and I wanted to be spooned and hugged, told everything's going to be all right. I love you. But I didn't have that. So I have now what's called the Cuddle Me Love body pillow, and it hugs you. So I ordered this pillow online, but it was a little bit too short. So I went ahead and I changed all the dimensions, but I slept with that pillow and it hugged me every single night. So much so that my former husband was replaced by this pillow. And I thanked him for the divorce because it was okay. It was all right. So now it's part of my story. This pillow is part of my story. When you have something that has filled your need and other people are asking you for it, that's a clue. So here I am sharing my story. I'm a breast cancer survivor. 3 weeks into radiation, I got a divorce. I replaced my former husband with a body pillow. At that time, it was called the Happiness Jungle Emotional Support Body Pillow. It's been rebranded to Cuddle Me Love Body Pillow. And I'm sharing it on stages. I wrote about it in my book. People are saying to me, do you have that pillow? I want that pillow.
Oh, and I bought a pillow.
Morning and I said, you know, I think I should create the pillow. So I learned, I didn't know. I had to learn how to work with China.
Yes.
And I produced a pillow that is now comforting hundreds of people around the world for whether it's emotional support or health challenges from the very young to the very old, even animals. Who knew? All because I was filling a need for me and I was just sharing it in my story and people wanted it. That's my story.
Yes.
Les Brown in 2017 showed up in my life again. And it was in Fort Lauderdale. And he had a 3-day event and it was a certification event. And I invested in myself a lot of money that I didn't have. but I figured out a way how to get involved, right? So at that time, there was a partnership with Les and the Institute, and the partnership broke up like a bad divorce. During the coronavirus, Les comes back to those that attended the Institute at that time and said, I owe you all an apology. I left you and I didn't even give you a close. I didn't even give you everything that I promised. So I want to come back. Come on Zoom and da-da-da-da-da, right? And those that chose to show up, which of course I'm showing up, there he is. During coronavirus, as he comes on and says hello to all of us, he shares with us that he was having health challenges. Not complaining, just sharing. This is what's been going on and, blah, 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 blah. And at that second, I said, I wonder, can my pillow help him? I want to send him a pillow. I want to help comfort him. Nothing else in my mind but to give. When you give,
yes,
with no expectation, but then to comfort. So Les receives the body pillow. After a week, he calls me. He goes, Lyn-Dee, I love my body pillow. I love, love, love my body pillow. And I was like, oh my God, thank you. And he shared his testimonial with me, how he's able to have slept of a night when his night sleeps were constantly broken for years, and how it secured his back. And he gave me his full testimonial. And then he says to me, this is 36 years later, when I said, one day he's going to know my name. One day I'm going to,
oh my God.
One day, this was the day. And he said, Lyn-Dee, do you have a partner for this pillow? I said, no, sir, I don't. He said, would you like one? I said, yes, sir, I would. You? And he goes, yep. And I said, you. Boom. And that is the beginning of the Cuddle Me Love body pillow that will be going into pre-launch in 2 weeks.
Oh my God. That is amazing. And I heard so much, Lyn-Dee, in this, so many beautiful gifts. And I just I want to give this back to the audience for a sec. And I know Richard, after I share this, I feel like he was watching and sees these things too. And I think it's going to want to just share, Lyn-Dee, is that I heard in this, I want to sum these up, whatever it takes. And even when you're in a moment where things have fallen through the floor and it's challenging, that we renew without ego and we become willing to do whatever it takes. Because when we get into ego or fear or belief, then that gets in our way. And then also, second, is that you kept giving. And, you had a belief that, hey, I'm going through this, and even through all the challenges with the breast cancer and your divorce, when a lot of folks would have said, I've had it, this is ridiculous. And I know you had your moments, but you taught us and showed to us that you chose your belief in how you were going to see things. And by doing that, all of a sudden that moment comes with Les, where your declaration was also manifested of, someday he will know my name. That's such a lesson for our listeners. And Richard, I just wanted to ask, I know Richard was smiling. Do you want to comment on that, Richard? Because that was...
What I'm hearing from Lyn-Dee, loud
powerful.
And clear, and I love this about her, is the power of belief combined with the willingness to have a boldness to go for what you want. Chutzpah is the proper name. And I'm reminded of the quote by Johann von Goethe, who said, if there's anything that you want, if there is anything that you want to do or think you can do, begin it. Boldness has genius and magic in it. And to me, Lyn-Dee Eldridge personifies this attitude of belief, declaration, and boldness. And with that as a preface, Lyn-Dee, would you share the story of how you decided boldly that you wanted to go onto the yacht of Steven Spielberg? Would you share that story that exemplifies what I'm saying about her belief, her determination to go for it? He who hesitates is lost. And Lyn-Dee has the chutzpah to just, in the face of fear, in the face of everyone saying no, she goes for it. Tell us about Steven Spielberg.
And Lucy Arnaz. Oh,
and Lucy Arnaz.
Oh, and Damon John.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a celebrity.
Yes.
Hey, before I do, can I ask Evan a question?
Sure.
Evan, your daughter has received the body pillow.
Yes, and I'm so glad Lyn-Dee asked me that, because it's interesting. As I heard more about the body pillow, and I had the honor to be on a podcast of Lyn-Dee's for the Happiness Jungle, and at that time COVID was setting in, and my daughter was also, she has some joint issues. She actually has a disease around her, with her joints, and I think too there was a lot of emotional changes of depression and being at home, and things that were with her but also kind of evolved. And I kept hearing about the body pillow, and I said, oh, wait a minute. And I asked you about it, and I knew, like, when you talk about that knowing that it was just the moment. And I said, Lyn-Dee, and you said, hey, maybe she would like one of these. I said, yes, send it up. And I remember I ordered it, sent it up, and then I saw it, and I was so excited about it that I never gave it to her. I kept it for myself. No, I'm kidding. I brought it in and I gave it to her. But I have to say, it is such an amazing pillow, Lyn-Dee, that she cuddles it, and I will joke with her and try to sneak it out of her room. And she's like, no, Dad, bring that back now. And so the emotional benefits too, I'm very kinesthetic. I like to cuddle, and part of it too is probably for things I missed out on, right, in those formative and early years. And I've taken it at times and snuggled it up, and I get back issues too. I have to be very careful, and I've used it under my back, and I've sent it to my friends too. So it's amazing, Lyn-Dee. Great creation. And that Les saw and said, wait a minute, I have direct experience with this. This has changed my life. I want to partner with you. There's no more validating moment in the universe. I'm so excited to watch it too. And as you get past this 2-week stage, to roll it out again to everybody.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. And again, the testimonials, it's the biggest reward. Help enough people get what they want. You will always get what you need and you want. Always. It just doesn't fail. So Richard, you asked me about Steven and Lucy and Damon, and how I have chutzpah. I wasn't always like that. Well, maybe I was. But I just realized that I was taught during my self-growth that if you don't ask, it's always a no. And I was also taught that if you ask permission, how does it go? It's better to ask forgiveness than permission. That's my chutzpah, right? That's it. Those are the two things that I swear to you I live by. So, Steven Spielberg, long story short, I was having lunch, with a friend of mine, and I was waiting for her to come. The waitress came over and I said, whose yacht is that? And she said, Steven Spielberg's. And I said, Steven Spielberg's. So as I'm eating lunch with my girlfriend, and I said, I'm going to get on that yacht. She goes, Lyn-Dee, you're crazy. You can't get on that yacht. And I said, okay, well, I have a podcast and it's called I'm Crazy, but you can't lock me up.
Yes.
And you can't say no. What happens when you say no to somebody? That's like a dare. We eat lunch and she leaves. I go to the bathroom. I go down and I'm looking now. How is it possible for me to get on this boat, right? I'm looking. Well, the chain was dead. And I said, better to ask forgiveness than to ask permission. And I see one of the yacht crews right there on the top, and he's cleaning the floors, but his back is towards me. So I go ahead and I sneak up. Well, number one, you're supposed to take your shoes off before you get on someone's yacht. I didn't do that either. So here I am with flip-flops on, right? I pass the guy and I go up the stairs. Now I'm on top. Now this is on video. Go to Happiness Jungle YouTube channel and look up and just put in Steven Spielberg's yacht. And there it is. I have the whole thing on video. And I walk up the steps and I'm just like videoing and everything. And then all of a sudden I realized I said I was going to go closer to the flag. And I go to turn around and my flip-flop fell off. My phone dropped, I made some noise, and out comes the crew. And they said to me in their accents, I don't know what kind of accent it was, but I knew it was an American. And they said to me, "Who are you?" And I said, "Well, I'm Lyn-Dee. Who are you?"
That's great.
And they said, "What are you doing?" And I said, "I heard the yacht was for sale. I wanted to come and check it out." They said, "You can't be up here." And I said, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry." They said, "Come on, we'll walk you off." I said, "Okay." So they're in front of me. And then I see steps going down and I figured I could try and just said that I just misdirected myself and didn't follow them right. So I go down, try to go down the stairs, which is to the bedroom. And the guy's saying, no, come back up.
That's great.
They escorted me off of the yacht. But yes, I did get on Steven Spielberg's yacht. Lucio Arnaz, this is another good one. Sunrise Lakes, Phase 4. They put on some of the most fantastic shows, and one of them was Lucy Arnaz. Now, I am a very big Lucille Ball fan, and I figured I know I can't get close to Lucy yet, but if I could get close enough to her daughter, then that makes me feel pretty good. So, yes. Okay, I go to the Dollar Tree store. Mind you, I don't have a lot of money, right? I go to the Dollar Tree store and I get all these fun things and I make a basket. And then I decide that I'm going to go into the clubhouse. I'm going to scope out the stage. I'm going to see what door leads to where. How do I get in from the back? I figured it all out, right? Now, I don't mean any harm. I never mean any harm. And if I ever get caught, I will happily turn around and walk out without any challenge at all, right? I just look like I was lost.
Yes.
So I go ahead and I was taking my mom to the show, or my mom was taking me to the show. May you rest in peace, Mom. So we get there. Now, talk about karma. See, I must be a good person. We didn't have tickets for the show because my mother at first didn't want to go. And then I said, if I could get tickets, do you think you want to go? And the show is for that night. So I go to the clubhouse and I ask, and they said, the show is sold out. One of the ladies that work in the office said, no, wait a second. Somebody just came in and brought 2 tickets because they can't go tonight. And I said, may I have them? And they said, sure. And I bought them. Front row center.
Oh my God.
Oh my God, right? So now we're at the show and I'm listening to Lucy Arnaz, and she's funny and she could sing and she's very, very talented. One of the last things she said, and she never should have said this one, she said, never allow anyone to stop you to go after what you want.
Oh my God.
You just gave me permission.
Yes.
So now I'm watching, right? Oh, and prior to me going, right? So I go into the office before the concert starts and I give the girl who works in the office, I said, can you bring Lucy Arnaz a gift from all of us from Phase 4? And she says, oh my God, that's lovely. And I said, thank you. I said, and I need her to play a video. And I did a video on my phone and I took it off unlocked so she didn't have to lock it. And all she had to do was press play and then she would have heard what I had to say to her. I thought to myself, I don't know if I'm ever going to see my phone again, but it's worth it, right?
Yes, yes.
So now I'm watching Lucy Arnaz and I understand entertainment and everything. I've been on enough stages and what have you. And I know when they're getting ready to close and I could sense it. So I looked at my mother and I said, you stay right here. Even if the place clears out, you don't move, okay? I'll be right back for you. And I get backstage the beginner performers, they said to me, can we help you? And I said, I'm just here to see Lucy Arnaz. And they said, okay, just stand in, like back, as far back on the wall that you can. I said, okay. She said, and be really quiet so nobody notices you. I said,
yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I did. And then she says, Lucy Arnaz is in that room. This is the door that she's going to be coming out of. I said, okay. So I stood there, and all of a sudden the door opened. And I said what I had to say to her. It was very nice to meet you. Did you receive your package? May I have my phone back? And may I take a picture with you? So she goes, thank you very much. Yes, you can. And yes, you can. Lucy Arnaz, right? So here my phone froze. My phone froze. And I said to her, wait a second, my phone froze. I couldn't even get it to shut off. So here I am, manipulating it. And she says, honey, I'm really, really sorry, but I have to go. I have a plane to catch. As she's walking towards her limo, right? Now I'm trying to unfreeze my phone, chasing her, right? And all of a sudden my phone, she has 1 foot in the limo with half her tush in, right? But this is her.
Oh my God.
And my phone unfroze, and I said, Lucy, my phone unfroze. She said, honey, I'm sorry, I gotta go. And I said, you said never stop going after what it is you want until you get it. She goes,
oh, that's great.
Wow. And she
That's great.
And I have the picture. Matter of fact, it's on my desktop. And I have the picture of Lucy Arnaz and I. And the last one was Damon John.
Oh my God.
I hired Damon John. I was at an event, and it was the 10X event in Miami, Florida. At that time, that's when the thought process of my pillow was being processed. Do I do this? How do I do it? Okay. And who else to partner with than Damon John?
Yes.
The student is ready, the teacher appears, invest in yourself. And I joined Damon John's program, Rise and Grind. And boy, did I learn a lot about trademarking and everything, which brought me to where we are today.
Wow.
So it was a great event. That was over. Then I was in Orlando, like a month later, and I was at a Legal Shield convention.
Yeah.
There's a few conventions going on at the resort, right? And I have to go to the restroom. So I'm going to the restroom. KFC is having their convention right next to us. As I'm going to the restroom, the doors open and I see AYMOND. And I'm like, and then as the door closes, I see John. I'm like, is Damon John in there? Sure enough, Damon John is in there. So I go to the bathroom, right? And I decide that I'm going to go into the KFC convention.
Wow.
So I said to myself, if you open those doors, Lyn-Dee, you got to walk in like you belong there, not like, you're looking. So I did. I walked in like I belonged. I sat down and I got to hear Damon John's full presentation. Well, guess what? I know when he's almost ready to close. So I get up and I leave, and now I'm in the lobby and I go down the little hallway and I'm counting the doors. Which door would lead to the back room, right? The backstage. And all of a sudden,
yes.
And I said, if you open that door, Lyn-Dee, you bet, and there's security guards, you better act like you belong there. And I said, okay. I'm talking to myself, right? Because I'm crazy. Can't lock me up.
Yes.
Open up the doors, right? I open up the doors and I see Damon John and his group of people, maybe 4 people with him, and they're walking away from me down the hall. And then I see 2 security guards that are right here by the door. I got to walk in like I own it. And I just looked and I said, hey guys. And I said, thank you for doing such a great job. And they said, no problem.
That's great. That's great.
I went by. Now I'm thinking to myself, if he turns the corner, I don't know where he's going and I'm not going to run after him. So what's the best thing to do? Damon John.
Yes.
Damon John. And all of a sudden he turns around And I said, hold on a second. And I walked over and I said, Damon, I said, I am really looking forward to working with you. I said, you don't know who I am yet, but I am Lyn-Dee Eldridge. And I also joined your Rise and Grind group in Miami. He goes, you joined? And I said, yes, I have. He goes, wow. And he starts speaking with me. And we're sharing something back and forth, and took my picture and said, thanks, Damon. Wow. So there's a right way to do things and there's a wrong way. But you know what? Forget about my crazy way. The most powerful thing that comes from all of my chutzpah is that I don't mean any harm.
Yeah.
I only mean to bring joy. And now that COVID is over and people have to be qualified to do this, but I hold a private or a couples retreat here at the Happiness Jungle. This is not a backdrop.
Yes.
This is the Happiness Jungle retreat. This is my home. And again, people have to qualify, but I love helping people start living their best life. And I promise each and every person, I will never do anything to harm you, but I am going to have to take you out of your comfort zone. Because I want you to start liking yourself and loving yourself and then spreading your wings and watch your life change just from that. You know, so they come here and I have an extensive questionnaire that I give them, and we do things that they want to do. They just haven't done it again.
I love that. And you take them out of their comfort zone. And I was going to ask too, first, one thing this has been amazing, Lyn-Dee, by the way, and I just have to share that. And I as I listen to what you're sharing, Richard and I are moving into a domain where after people are interviewed and we find out about your successes, your challenges, and the audience can see deep into that, they have an intimacy with you through this, that you have struggled and you've overcome, and they get a lot of pointers and wisdom. We're also going to have people, if they so choose, to teach a couple classes on areas that are important to them. And I think that's something that, you know, Richard and I are heading towards very quickly, and it's working out very well. So I wanted to put that out to you, but I also want to get one other very special thing for our listeners. When you speak about getting out of the comfort zone, there's a woman who has become dear to me. She's a friend of mine, and she has an amazing story. She's worked very hard. She's a top student, and but she was so excited to get to hear your interview because she says, you know, as a woman, I want to get my voice. I want to get my courage. And what would you tell her and tell women? I've given her some thoughts on, you know, her messaging, and we're working through some stuff, but what would you tell her?
When do you want to get started?
What's really from a starting standpoint about getting her voice and courage?
When do you want to get started?
She's ready to get started right now. She's a student.
I love that. And what is she willing to do for that? How is she willing to invest in finding herself? You can't do it alone. You absolutely need mentoring. I am a retreat holic. You see?
Yes.
If I do what I do for others here at the Happiness Jungle Retreat, it's because I go to retreats that have with people and leaders that have what I want.
Yes. So there's an investment in breaking through.
Of course there's an investment. Put yourself on vacation, but where are you going to go to fulfill who you want to be? You see? I'll tell you, the Happiness Jungle Retreats, it blows people's minds how free they could be just because of simple choosing.
Yes, yes.
And I don't do anything with them but allow them to be them.
Wonderful. So
I'm that person when they're like, I'm like, you're not allowed to, you could just do it. And there's that fear factor, right? You've just kicked it to the curb. Oh my God, I can't believe it. I did it. What the heck was I so afraid of for all these years? Right?
Yes.
And then we move on to something else. I can assure you, I am a motion solutionist. We sit here in the evening and we go ahead and we do what we have to do in our relaxed area. But during the day, this is not where we are. We get dressed and we move and we go out and we enjoy the world the way you want to enjoy the world. You just don't remember how to do it alone.
Yes.
And if you're a couple,
wonderful.
If you're a couple and you truly don't want your marriage to end or your relationship to end, and you are willing to both do what it needs to get done, those are the people that qualify to work with me, because learning how to like and love again is delicious. Right?
That is amazing. And I wanted to ask Richard too, in relation to this. I've had the honor of getting to know you and building a relationship, Lyn-Dee, and Richard's known you for quite some time. And Richard, would you be willing to share and encapsulate the gifts that you see in Lyn-Dee as you've experienced them, and what folks that work with her can expect?
Do we have 1 or 2 months that we could? Knowing Lyn-Dee has reminded me of the series that was produced by the Reader's Digest back in the 60s. They invited people to write in and tell about the most unforgettable person I ever met. So if I were to list the top 3 people that are most unforgettable people in my life to listen to, it's Lyn-Dee. And it's because of all the things we've talked about: her boldness, her chutzpah, her inner work, to create a beautiful mind inside, her power of belief, right? All these things make her unique and make her one of my most unforgettable friends. But the defining quality of Lyn-Dee is, I may be crazy, but you can't lock me up. So we invite her to our parties and we have a blast. Lyn-Dee shows up. We may have 25 people at the party. She shows up with a basket of toys to get everybody. And we encourage people to get into their inner child. So hanging around her for the last 4 or 5 years, as I have done, has brought so much joy and happiness to my life. She's a very special person. And I cannot recommend her enough to anyone in our audience who feels that you're not living with the zest that was your birthright and the joy that was your birthright. Contact Lyn-Dee. She has books, she has seminars, she has events, she has personal coaching. She is a wonderful person to know, and she has a heart of gold.
That is amazing. I've been at this many decades now, and I've never heard an endorsement so strong and so beautiful, Richard. And knowing you so well with such deep respect as we both have for you, that means so much. And thank you. And I just want to add my small little part to that is, I can tell after all I've done when someone is committed and cares and walks beside you. And when you're doing this type of work, you need someone that's going to be close to you and trustworthy. So so special. And Lyn-Dee, thank you so much. I can't stop smiling. You brought my joy and my happiness and the connection we've all brought together. Is there anything else that you want to share with us or the audience? Because we can't wait to bring your interview to life.
There's so many of us that have aches and pains and that we are dealing with emotional support. And I highly encourage you, go check out cuddlemelove.com. Seriously. It's a game changer for your sleep, for your health, maybe for you, for somebody else. But it's a beginning to make you feel not so lonely. Good night's sleep.
Most definitely. And I want everyone to know we're going to be creating a way that you'll have here in the video to get in contact with Lyn-Dee. And also, as she is giving talks and inspiring and the future arrives, as we're coming out of COVID here, whether it's virtual or in person, we're going to look to feature some of that on our special events, because we want you to get close to her. And I want you to encourage you to get outside the house and take action, because if you get in this emotional space and this spiritual space with her, it is going to set the plate and set the future for you. So wonderful to have you on HowLeader and learn how you became such a leader.
Yeah, and if anybody is on the Clubhouse platform, absolutely friend me and look for Woobie, WOOBIE. Look for Woobie and you'll find me, and go ahead and follow me and I'll follow you back. But there's a lot of inspiring things going on there as well. So you see, you don't have to leave your home in order to be inspired. It's all over.
Most definitely. I just want to know if the most adorable dog I think I've ever seen would be part of my healing if I was there. Would I get to cuddle that dog? Because, okay, that's great. We saw someone else joining, and we are huge animal lovers here. Oh my God. Who is this? Please tell us.
Ziggy. And you want to see somebody else who's very special in my life?
Yes, yes.
In my life. Come here, Sid. I call her my chosen daughter. This is Sydney from my previous marriage.
Hi, Sydney. Hi. It's so nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
And it's so awesome to have your mom on here with us. We adore her.
I'm not her mom.
Spiritual mom, maybe.
Chosen mom.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, that is
husband's daughter. And so we reunited. And that says a lot about people, doesn't it, Sid? So the bottom line is that as long as you're a good person, time will promote you or expose you. I have all 3 children in my life. That must say that I wasn't that wicked stepmother, right? Because they all are choosing to be a part of my life as much as I choose to be a part of their life. But that's what I'm talking about when it comes to who are you? Always be you. Shine. You never know who's watching you. Someone's watching you. That is
such a test.
You're watching us all the time. Be you.
That is amazing. And I want to thank you too for being a person of love and commitment and making the choice, because there's so many people who don't give. And even when you said how you take care of your people, that's what's the most important thing. And I hope you get that from all of us too. And we can give it. Yeah. When I meet you, you're going to get a big hug. I hope you know that when I see you down there.
I can't wait. I can't wait to be back on the stages all over the world. And I love when I could go and share my, because when you're on stage, you pick a topic. It's not like the show where you're all over the place like a smorgasbord.
Yes,
the business stages or the self-help stages for women, or wherever I plant myself, I promise to bring you the authentic, real story of how to become everything and more, to live life on purpose, and to become the best version of you for as long as you live.
Beautiful.
I love you.
Beautiful. Thank you so much.
Richard.
Love you too. Big hug.
Big hugs. Thank you.